Hey everyone, this is Justice Watchers by Defenders Coalition, a series that is speaking to human rights defenders in their line of work. But today we're also speaking to a mental health practitioner and a therapist who accompanies HRDs in their journey. We think of HRDs as resilient, but as strong. But it's someone who meets them at perhaps some of the points of reckon in terms of the impact, the work of accountability, and the price they pay in terms of their own lives and how that impacts their families or themselves, or even employability. But before I delve into this conversation, let me introduce Defenders Coalition and say it's an organization in Kenya that works with communities and HRDs to protect and make sure they're safe, but also offer security where that is needed. And for today, my guest is Marvlyn Mbugua, who, as I've said, supports HRDs in psychosocial support. I repeat myself.
Yes.
It's lovely to have you.
Thank you.
Please introduce yourself.
As you've said, my name is Marvlyn and Marvlyn Mbugua, and I work and support human rights defenders. And now I'm directly consulting with Defenders Coalition Nairobi, Kenya.
Okay. I'm curious to know because it's one thing to do mental health, psychosocial support.
Yes.
But then it's another to do psychosocial support for HRDs, especially now. How did you get yourself in this work?
Wow. It's interesting you ask. I think I got myself, should I say, by default.
Okay.
I didn't really know I was getting into it. But I was called first to deal with Defenders Coalition, the staff.
Yeah. All the immediate stuff.
Yes,
yeah.
Yes. And they were having a mental wellness month. And so to finish it or to end the mental wellness month, they had a retreat and they wanted to do a wellness session. So I came in and of course that was my first introduction and my first direct interaction with human rights defenders.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I must say I'm very impressed by Defenders Coalition, the fact that they have a place for wellness and psychosocial support, especially for also the staff.
Yes.
Because they're fast responders and we've seen how Defenders Coalition responds.
Yes.
So I imagine cumulatively, there are challenges that they deal with. But just to paint a picture, when we talk about human rights defenders, what are the challenges, psychosocial challenges you come across?
The first thing, I think we need to understand that a human rights defender is a voice of the voiceless. This is someone who speaks on behalf of someone who is being violated and doesn't know how to speak it out or how to say, hey, you're violating me. And this is my right. You know? So number one, they are coming from a place where they have to educate the people they are defending that this is your right.
Yeah.
And because this is your right, it's being violated. So this is what we're going to do because it's being violated.
Yeah.
So in that process, just what I've described sounds very simple, but it's a process that it's a life and death actually place to be. Because you raise your voice against maybe the authorities, against, culture, against,
power.
Against power, against situations and communities at that point. And so that is what a human right does, and human rights activist does.
Yeah.
So in the process of doing that, they are still humans themselves. They're still having their own lives. They still have...
And perhaps also caught up in the issue that they are raising their voice against.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when they are doing this, you've asked me, what are those that what are the things that they go through? One thing I've realized, Nyambura, is that most of the human rights activists start this job or start this, I can say it a calling, from a very personal level, where someone has been violated themselves. Maybe it was whatever kind of violation that they went through. They go through it at a personal level.
Yeah.
And then from there they say, what I went through, I wouldn't want anyone else to go
it's
through
actually
this.
selflessness.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's, for most of them, that's where they begin. And that just calls for psychosocial support to be able to deal with it as a person.
Yeah.
And then now be able to help someone else.
Extend yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's so they begin from that point and they go through it because for them it's personal. It's not so much a profession.
Yeah.
It's a personal passion.
That's what we call it, a cause.
Yes,
right?
It's a purpose, actually. They live out that.
Yeah.
And so it takes a toll on them mentally. It takes a toll on them as an individual. It takes a toll on them as a person. It is so personal.
Yeah,
it's
that's
so
true.
Personal.
And I think it's not lost on me that it's personal, but yet human rights defenders are not removed from the context that they're actually trying to fight, either for themselves or their communities.
Yes.
What are the common? I don't know whether this is an appropriate question, and forgive me if it's not. But what are the common mental health challenges you see or experience among the HRDs?
I'll just say burnout.
Burnout, yeah.
Burnout in the sense that they go through this vigorous personal trying to voice this voiceless. And sometimes you go for so long without achieving what you wanted.
Yeah, because the change
that
we demand is usually a long-term process.
Exactly. And actually for some, they've come to a point where they realize, I will only make an awareness, but I wouldn't change it. Because for some of the violations, they're deep-rooted in culture, they're deep-rooted in the society, they're deep-rooted in power. It's beyond you as a person, even if you know you want to stand up for this. So just knowing that I might not get the end of this, or I might not even live long enough to see this achieved, gives them burnout.
That's true.
You know,
what's a place? I know there's burnout, and have experienced it myself as in the movement, but I don't think I could be speaking from my own experience. I don't think we realize how much vicarious trauma or secondary trauma we deal with in the dailiness of either defending rights or just work that requires you to come into contact with power or systems that are inefficient. Talk to us in terms of how do we deal with vicarious trauma, and how come we don't see it? Because it's in the work and it's the dailiness of it.
Yes.
So we come to you, but we're not even naming that. We'll just say, I'm feeling tired.
Yes.
But sometimes you don't know it's actually vicarious trauma. Yeah. How do we walk aware of it?
One thing I always say when we are doing those sessions, I always tell them, if you can be able to name it, you can be able to heal it. So when you come to me because you've been fighting for a cause and you're feeling tired, but you don't want to quit. Of course, we don't quit because this is a movement. This is a calling. This is a passion. This is what we live for. So you don't quit.
Yeah.
I always say, you need to know what it is. Are you anxious? Are you tired? Are you hurt? Are you angry? Are you giving up?
Yeah, I've been there.
Yes.
Where I'm like, man.
So what is it
it's
exactly?
It's bigger than I am.
Yes.
I've gone to look for cows.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so what I normally say is, take a rest. Don't quit.
Yeah.
But take a rest.
Take a break.
Yes. Take a break.
Yeah.
And maybe do it differently. Maybe not in the front line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think most HRDs don't give themselves permission to quit the front line.
Yes.
Feel like you're letting people down. And I can name my friends who I have spoken to over and again because they feel like if they, leave the front line, things will fall apart. And sometimes they do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's when I tell you, it's become so personal
that
it stops being the passion, becomes the person. So if we don't see your face, we are not seeing it being fought. And that's where we go wrong. And that's where most HRDs fail. That this thing is beyond you. It's the movement. It's not you as a person. It's not your name.
Yeah.
But if you look at it right now, it's the names.
That's true. But the personal price that they pay is too high, though.
And so when I'm coming in, I'm trying to tell them, because you'll pay that price, I'm trying to protect you. Stop pushing the name. Push the purpose.
Yeah. Because if it's a purpose, you allow yourself to take a step back.
So that even if I take a step back, the movement, the passion is still moving on, even without me.
And you can hand over the baton, however, whenever. You can always step back.
Yes.
One of the things that I think I've been sad about, especially in the light of the political environment we're in, is that most of my friends who are HRDs on the front are struggling with things that can be traced to mental health or lack of sufficient psychosocial support or even awareness themselves. Because it's either someone is sick,
Yes,
like always sick because the immunity is really low, or they're struggling in their relationships. And it's things like those that tell people, I mean, maybe...
Nyambura, what you've just described is actually the outcome of burnout. You start becoming, your immune system actually gets compromised because of burnout.
Yeah.
You cannot keep relationships because you have what do we call this? You have not flare-ups, but you have meltdowns. You don't know when
you're dealing
to stop.
with you have very little inside yourself. It's almost like you're using your reserve.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So and then the people around you, unfortunately, maybe especially family, sometimes they don't really understand what they should do and how they should behave around you.
Also because HRDs are usually seen as strong people.
Yes.
So we don't, as in their immediate context, no one asks, hey, how are you doing?
Now, let me tell you something about that. I was dealing with one of the most, let's say, top HRD in our nation. And I remember when he had his moments and he told me, nobody understands me. And I told him, you know what? You taught us how to treat you. You taught us you're the hero.
That's hard to hear.
You taught us you're the strong one. You taught us you are the one who solves our problems. We are the victims. So how do we as victims come and help you? So when you tell us we don't understand you, exactly we don't. Because we know you as the powerhouse.
That's hard to hear.
We know you as the change, as the mover, as the powerful one. So when you come to us and say, I can't, I'm tired, I don't want, I'm giving up. We are thinking, hey, you don't give up.
You don't get to give up.
We need you. And that's what I'm saying.
Oh, that's sad.
When we can change it from being the person, but the passion, you can be able to run away when it's too much, and not really run away, but you can take a break.
Away.
Yes, step away and just say, you know what, today I'm not going, but let this continue.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then you can have a balance.
Yeah, or even a life. Because most of HRDs, seriously, unless, the ones that have a salary and a system around them, a lot of them don't actually have a life.
Exactly.
And it's sad.
You actually ask them a very simple question. So what's your hobby? They tell you fighting for, apart from fighting for the rights, what's your hobby? What's you? Who are you? What do you like? Do you like cooking? That's when they tell you, by the way, I used to love
It's almost
swimming.
like they remember someone
they
behind.
left a life, became this.
Yeah.
Then now they don't know what to do with this because now this has become too much.
Yeah.
It's too risky.
Yeah.
They're losing so many friends.
Yeah.
They're a risk there are places they can't go. People don't want to hang around them. They're a threat to everyone. You go with them somewhere, everyone is thinking, oh my God, I don't want to be seen with you.
I don't want to be followed. That's a conversation we have.
Yeah.
I tell my friends, you're a person of interest.
And all this takes a toll on them mentally.
Of course.
Yes.
It's also separation, Yes. It's also, you can't leave the rest of it. If you're not fighting, then it almost means that you can't be integrated with the rest of life. So you've already alluded to some of these things, but what would be the coping strategies, or how do we build the resilience of HRDs?
Wow.
Especially the grassroots.
Yes.
HRDs who do not either connected to systems or organizations directly, meaning that most of the times they are lone workers.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think the first thing you've already just mentioned, that number one as a HRD, you need to connect to a community. Okay?
Yeah.
You need to connect to a community of like-minded people like you.
Yeah.
People who you can go and tell them, by the way, I think I'm doing this and I don't know what to do. Connect to people with the same mind. Okay? Another thing, you need to have a support system. A support system in this sense that let your family know what you're getting yourself into and what you're getting them into.
That's true.
Okay?
That's an honest conversation.
Yes.
Yeah.
That it's not just you that will be knowing you as the fighter, but this is what it will mean to your children.
Yeah.
This is what it will mean to your spouses. This is what it will mean to your, to your immediate family, that this is what I am.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is the impact. And this is how now we need to behave because I'm this person. Let me give you an example. I had one of the HRDs who was a champion, against gender-based violence. But she was going through the same.
Oh.
And so So, and the reason why she was going through the episode she gave me was this guy said, you know what, you're fighting for people there. Let me show you, you know.
Oh, I've had that sentiment though.
Yeah.
I've had that sentiment.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so the shame and the guilt and wondering, what am I really doing? But if there's proper communication that, you know, this is what I'm doing. And I'm doing this because of this. And this is my passion. I want women to be like this. I want girls to be like this. And then your family gets to know. Your people get to understand that this is who you are. This is what you want to do. This is your passion. We support you.
Yeah.
We love you for this. We are behind you. You know,
Yeah.
I think making that clarity from whom is very important. That's number 2. Number 3 is when you get overwhelmed. This is what I always want to say. I always tell HRDs, you people are powerful. You're the voice to the voiceless, but you're not the Messiah.
That's powerful.
You cannot save everybody. You cannot change everything. You might start.
Yeah.
You might be the ones to push it a little bit.
Yeah.
You might be, but don't kill yourself.
Yeah.
Trying to bring a change that is beyond you, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe you just needed to start the conversation, and that maybe was just your role for 15 years, was just to begin that conversation.
Yeah.
Someone else was to take it maybe to another level, another level. Yeah.
Sorry to interject, but it's because when I speak to most of my HRD friends, I almost feel like there's, I don't know whether this is appropriate to say, there's almost a spirit of martyrdom, which is admirable, but, and I know a lot of revolutions, revolutions have been built on the lives of people. But I think for me, it's how do we balance, the conversation for me, it's how do we balance the radicalness of wanting change, and sometimes it comes on human lives, but also going longer. Because for me, I think we need to be sustainable, because if then all HRDs are sick, if all HRDs are dead, if the stronger ones are taken out by the system, or just because we are not taking care of ourselves, what happens to the cause?
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. And that is very important, because actually another thing that is happening is you find a HRD has fought this when they were young.
Yeah.
They've grown into it.
Yeah.
But they've gotten to a place where it is not going the way they thought it should.
Would go. And it's not their fault. Systems are hard to beat.
Do you know, we are having them becoming into addicts.
Oh, that's
They're becoming alcoholics. Some of them are actually dying of it, because they are so hurt.
It's also a sense of helplessness.
Yes. They gave it so much. They gave it their youth.
Yeah.
They were not even there for their children, because they were fighting for this.
You know, when you say give out their youth, that's the most expensive
time of your life. Because they did this. They were there.
Yeah.
They're now settling and they're realizing, I'm not going to change this. But I have nothing for myself.
And then that's something we need to talk about in terms of most HRDs get to the end of life and they do not have anything.
They don't have a retirement plan.
No.
They don't. The other day I was asking them, is this an obsession? Is it a profession? Is it a passion? Is it something you're going to retire from or die from? Is it something you're going to, what's your plan? What's your plan?
Yeah.
For example, I'll give one project that we do, and we call it end femicide. Just from that word, end femicide. It's powerful. That's the ideal. That's what we want to end.
Yeah.
But even as we are doing it, I remember on that day we were launching it, I think 2 ladies got killed.
Yeah, I remember. I remember the first March. Yes.
As in, are we going to end it?
Realistically, the answer is no.
But we want ladies to champion this.
Yeah.
15 years later, 50 years later, we're still doing this.
Yeah.
But will it be the same ladies?
No.
So how do we maintain that? And that's where I'm coming now.
Momentum,
yeah. And we are saying, let them make their personal mental wellness a priority.
Yeah.
At a personal level, where you say, yes, I'm a HRD, I'm an activist. This is what I'm fighting for, but it is taking a toll on me. What do I need to do? I need to see a therapist.
Yeah.
I need to take a break.
Yeah.
I need to talk to someone. I need to get a support system. I need to get a support group of like-minded people where we can sit on a round table and talk about my frustrations and talk about this and talk about this. It has to be intentional. Someone has to be aware that I need this help and I need to look for it and I need to invest in it.
Invest in it.
Yes.
You used the word invest. And when you were speaking, one of the questions I wanted to ask is, I know it doesn't fall in the docket, but how do we integrate economic resilience for HRDs into the wellness conversation? Because I do know for myself, as an ally, as a HRD myself, one of the things that I think icks me, and I was just having a conversation with Whaley, is how vulnerable HRDs are economically and how that plays into other things like mental health issues, right? And it's a conversation I don't think is supported by a lot of organizational policies, but how do we foreground the conversation?
I think, and that's why I asked a group of them that, is this a passion? Is it an obsession? Because some of them have turned it into an obsession in the sense that they don't do anything else with themselves.
Yeah.
They just are fighting for rights.
Yeah. But someone who would listen to you would say we are being insensitive in terms of when you say an obsession, because they say, but
that's how
there's so many violations.
Yes.
I can't just sit back, right? But how do we have the conversation in a way that is,
I tell them, yes, let it be an obsession, but you have a life. You have children to raise. You have rent to pay.
That's a hard truth.
Yeah. So we need to have a balance that this thing, I will do it excellently. I will give it my all. But I also have to have a life. And I cannot depend on the people I'm fighting for.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you cannot be someone who takes women to the court because they've been violated. And you don't even have bus fare to take yourself back home.
And that's the reality of a lot of HRDs.
And that's what actually is happening.
Yeah.
And you end up actually asking the victims to help you. So, but if you can have a job, if you can have a passion, if you can have something that is giving you income as an individual. Yes.
Yeah.
And then you do this and give it your 100 also.
Yeah.
But you see now the challenges, this Nyambura. If you look at especially a grassroots HRD, I was talking to one lady and she was telling me immediately she wakes up in the morning, there's someone outside her house. Either has been beaten, either a child has been violated. So
even their home is not.
So she cannot do anything. She can't go to work. She can't go to the farm. She has to take care of this one. Take them to the hospital.
I know a friend like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
After hospital, on her way back, she has to go and do this. And by the time she wants to do something, it's on a Thursday. By the time she wants to do something else has come up. She has no time to do her economic income work. Yeah. But I was telling her then, and that's when now the Messiah thing came. And I was telling her, you need to have boundaries. Because it would be so unfair to go help this family, then you go back home hungry and you have nothing to eat.
That's true.
It doesn't.
That's true.
So can we be organized?
Yeah.
Can we have? I told her, like, for example, I gave her. We had to literally come up with a schedule. I told her on Mondays you tell the community I don't see anyone on Mondays.
Yeah.
That Monday you go to the market. Yes. You buy whatever you need to do. You do whatever you need to do. You say from Tuesday to Thursday, I'll see people. Once Thursday afternoon comes, I close shop. Even if you're bitten or something happens to you, I will refer you. Again, you don't close your door because you're an activist.
Yeah.
At that time, you refer them to someone else.
Yes.
But then on Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
But there's a system that allows you to live a life.
You need to have a system. Yeah. I told her from Thursday to Monday, it is you. Go look for work. Go do business. Go do farming. But on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, these are the days you can take them to hospital, you can take them to the court, you can take them.
You can be available for whatever it is that is needed in the community.
But let the community know and also have a referral system. So that in case something happens when you are not available, you can refer. And she actually told me, I think that is working. And then she told me her house has turned into a rescue home. And now she's having issues with her spouse. So she was asking, what should I do? I told her, can you afford another house? She said, yeah, by the way, we can rent out another room when I can be doing, So we looked for ways of doing this and now it's manageable. Now she can have, her children can have their home.
That's true. And it's a question of boundaries, as you said.
Yes.
But also self-awareness.
Just develop boundaries, get to know that you also have a life.
Yeah.
And then again, we were looking at, and I was also telling her, you also need to start looking at how you, because she's a bit elderly. What is your retirement plan? And she said, I have nothing. I don't even think I have anything. When I'm done with this, when I go back home, I don't even have a cow. I have nothing. So they told her, now we need to start developing, a system of savings and putting something aside, from what you're getting from your economic work, the income generating. Yes, because the HRD work, she actually was telling me, it is eating into her.
And it does. And I can
She's
see
not
how
getting it.
I can see how that does, because the requests are diverse and most of them need a bit of
So
cash.
I told her, you need to have insight, you need to have, you need to have a plan, you need to have boundaries. Because and she actually told me, she came back 6 months later and told me, when I told the ladies, when I went to their vikundis and I told them I will only be available this day and this day, they said, now that's good. Now we know when to find you.
Oh, that's nice. So meaning that even for HRDs, creating boundaries does not mean that you have abandoned your community.
Exactly.
It also teaches them self-reliance to some extent.
And she told them, if you look for me on Monday, it will not me, you will see. You will see so and so. But if you must see me, it's Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
And also the power of delegation.
Yes.
Because that's what leadership is.
And I told her, actually, the person you're going to refer to, let it be someone you are training and mentoring.
That's true.
So that in case they are stuck, they can still ask you, but not you being there in person. So I think this is something we need to teach, literally.
Yeah.
Because some are so willing, but they've gotten it so messed up. It's mixed up to, they've mixed up their personal lives, their marriages, their work, their passion. Some of them have lost very good professions that they had.
I know.
Someone was a teacher, but you're never there.
That's true.
Because you're there fighting for children and you just get fired.
I know.
And then
it predisposes you to other issues,
yes,
other vulnerabilities yourself as a HRD.
Yes. So someone has to be very intentional.
Yeah.
Very purposeful.
Yeah.
And just know this is what I want. Have a vision for it, actually.
Yeah.
Have a vision that this is what I'm seeing myself as a HRD.
Yeah. And it's also, I think, allowing yourself to step away from it all.
Yes.
Because I think the continuous, going does not allow you to even plan or think, right? Like, because you're on, what do we call it?
Autopilot.
Yes. I was going to say automobile. Autopilots, which means you don't have time to plan or think through.
And another thing I've realized with them, especially when it comes now to mental wellness, is when they began as a passion because of what they went through.
Yeah.
Most of them.
The personal story. Yeah.
Yes. Most of them don't deal with what they went through. So they act out of bitterness.
And pain.
And hurt.
Yeah.
So they confuse that with passion.
That's a very sensitive conversation, because if you try to have it, it becomes, because it's, I think, and we could be both wrong. I think it is okay to start off with dealing with an injustice that happened to you.
Yes.
But that can be the fire that fuels you for the rest of your life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because and I love the fact that they start there. And let me tell you, there is nothing as beautiful as dealing with someone or something that you've already gone through.
That's true.
You actually know how much
and you're
it hurts.
efficient at it. You're excellent.
You're not a newcomer in this.
No.
You actually know what it is. But now my challenge normally is, as you've said, it won't keep them going for those years.
Oh.
Because now this fire is not burning the cause, it's burning you.
Yeah.
So you'll get to a place.
Eventually, it annihilates you. It eats on you.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
So you'll find someone now starts having things we call transparency.
Yeah.
So anytime a man does this to someone, you don't deal with them. You are dealing with your issues because you didn't deal with it.
And that's hard.
Yes.
Oh, gosh.
Yes.
That's hard to live with as a person.
I actually talked to one and she was telling me she actually wants to kill that the violator.
Oh, wow.
And I told her now she was so bitter. She was so hurt. And that whatever had been done, the violation was not on her. But because she had never dealt with what she went through.
Unresolved pain, unresolved
She had never dealt with it. She had never known how to live with what she went through.
Yeah.
She really was, she actually almost messed it up.
I can see, and I can see how human rights defenders also become the deviators of rights because of some of these things that you carry.
Oh, yes.
You know?
Yes.
And it's
so from where I stand is I always tell them, can we deal with your situation first? Then once we deal with it, now you become now an activist.
Yeah.
Because you've been able to handle this pain, this violation that was done to you, and now you know how to handle it, and now be able to move on with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a very good distinction.
Yes.
But we need to come back to this conversation of how to deal with past hurt so that it's not the only thing that fuels your cause. But tell me, I know Defenders Coalition is exceptional in terms of integrating, with your help, integrating mental health and psychosocial support. And it's, it's nuanced even in terms of how they approach the work. But for human rights defender organizations, how do we integrate psychosocial support in terms of policy, but also organizational support? Because that is lacking. Not all organizations are able to do what Defenders Coalition is doing in terms of offering intentionally a psychosocial support.
I'll give you practical things that we do at the Defenders Coalition. We encourage a lot of debriefs.
That's a practical thing. Yeah.
Debriefs that are professionally guided, not just HRDs, they are debriefing together.
Yeah.
We normally have a counselor on site,
standby. Okay.
yes, to have them. And then also we have made it very, we have made the HRDs know that if you need this help, it's there. It's not far-fetched. It's not something that you wonder, will they help me with this? Will they support this? We have made it very loud. We've even gone ahead and provided a toll-free line.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yes, for counseling purposes, for psychosocial only, for HRDs.
Yeah.
You call that line, a professional will pick it up.
That's wonderful.
Offer counseling for you, either virtual or physical, wherever you are.
Yeah.
And it's been effective for the last 3 months that has been running. And I can tell you, I think I've seen lives being saved through that.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And it goes to a place. It gets to a point where the HRD needs the counseling, but because it's affected even the family members, this professional helps all that. Okay. And now my challenge is I don't know if all HRDs know that this is there for them.
No, I think one of the things we'll do on this podcast is make sure that the toll-free number is actually the caption.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
They need to know that. Another thing that we are trying to do at Defenders Coalition is to let HRDs know that asking for psychosocial help is okay.
Yeah, because the stigma around psychosocial support, even generally, away from HRDs. Yeah.
It's okay. You don't have to have lost it. You can ask for it. You can even just come ask for the psychosocial support. As you're having the psychosocial support, it's okay to realize, by the way, I don't think I needed this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm good.
Yes. Then I'm okay. Yes. But please just know it's there.
Yeah, just check in.
Yes.
And sometimes just check in to see where am I.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The other thing is that we are in most of our, conferences, seminars, trainings, we have a counselor on site. We let just people know that on these 3 days, as you're being trained on security, wherever, we have a counselor. And they're here.
That's good that is integrated in programming.
And you don't need to make it so loud that I'm coming to see the counselor.
Yeah.
Once you're done with your sessions, you can have lunch with them. You can have the evening together with them. There's a counselor on site.
That's wonderful.
And I think it has made a lot of HRDs feel,
it's also normalizing the conversation in terms of making it commonplace.
Yes.
Yeah.
And a counselor doesn't have to be, the session doesn't have to be ridiculous and difficult. And it's just a normal conversation.
Yeah.
And in case you need more sessions, from this, we will have more sessions.
I hope HRDs are listening to this.
Yes.
Because help is available.
Yes.
Yet we walk like it's not.
I think that is what we are trying to make so loud. That help is available. Don't wait until it is too much. Just start with us. Yes.
Well, the conversation around the stigma and mental health is a whole conversation in the country. But I want us to end this conversation, but I would want to end it to a place where, as you, as Marvlyn Mbugua, who talks to HRDs and has seen how badly or progressively we are doing. What is your vision for organizations that work with human rights defenders in terms of how what can we do better? But secondly, when do we take when does a HRD need to take a break and just say for now?
Okay. This is what I'll say. For any organization working with human rights activists, please make mental wellness a part of your organization.
Yeah.
Not just in the policies, not just in the strategic plan.
Yeah.
You know those nice books?
Yeah. With pictures.
Make it a daily occurrence in the office.
Yeah.
Let us have a place where someone can go sit when they're feeling it's too much.
Yeah.
When they've received so many calls, when they've seen so many photos of dead people, when they've seen all this, when they've read stories of violations. And some of those stories can really hurt you as a human being.
Yeah, because you're a human being with feelings.
You just read it, you wonder, really?
Is this the world we live in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those in that office, in that organization, let there be moments where you can just sit and say, you know what, that was just too much.
Yeah.
Let it be known that it is okay to have those moments.
Yeah.
And let a counselor be on call for every organization. Yes.
Yeah.
Because for many people who are almost giving up, actually I had the HRD was telling me, I'm actually walking next to the cliff.
Oh, that's hard to hear.
And I don't want to go on the flat side. I want to jump off. It feels better. Because I'm done.
Wow.
I have done so much. I have been there for people. I've done all this, but nobody comes back. Let me tell you, this is what she was saying. Nobody has come back to tell me, thank you.
It's work. It's thankless work.
Oh, yes.
For most of the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yet what they do is so tremendously awesome.
I mean, they ensure that we have some fundamental rights.
Yes.
Yeah.
But nobody has come to say, hey, thank you. And so let us have, so two things. Let organizations know that wellness is a part of, the workplace. And let them be very intentional and practical about it. Have a counselor on call. Have moments, have a place where someone can take a break. Then number 2, learn to motivate and appreciate people intentionally.
Yeah.
I've actually made it a mandate to myself that anytime I get a room full of HRDs, I must take a moment and appreciate them, either individually
or collectively.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I call them out.
Yeah.
Last week, I was with a group of the Mukuru guys who went through the retrieval of the bodies. And I took my time to shake hands of the volunteers, telling them, thank you so much.
Yeah,
you might not know who you picked up.
Yeah.
You don't know whose body that was. But thank you so much for doing that, for making sure that these ladies got a better burial,
for putting yourself out there.
Yes. And nobody forced you. Nobody was paying you. No, you just went there and said,
selfless acts.
Yeah. And they're just normal, simple guys.
Kawaida people.
But I just
who have taken a stand.
Yes. Yeah. And I told them, thank you so much. So let's learn to appreciate them. The other thing you've asked is that, what was it that you asked?
The last question was, when does a HRD know it's time to step away?
When you cannot sleep. Okay? You've gotten to a point where you're feeling, I'm tired. I always say this, that HRDs are very strong people. Yeah. But strong people get tired.
That's true.
And sometimes we get tired of being strong.
Yes.
Of putting up a face.
Yeah.
Of, trying not to cry. And of,
fall apart.
Sometimes you get so tired of doing that.
Yeah.
And when you're that tired, stop. Go cry. Go just say, let it burn, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah,
or someone else hold this.
Yes, someone will do this. You might not do it my way. You might not do it as good as I would have. But for now, let me
choose yourself.
Yeah, let me just
choose yourself.
Yes, let me eat some fruits from let me just take a break.
Yeah.
So when you cannot sleep, number 2, and I'll say this with a lot of consciousness, when it is too insecure for you.
Yeah.
sometimes we push it too much.
Yeah.
Take some cover. I don't know what this means, but sometimes just,
Step back. I mean, stay alive.
yes, actually, that's a word.
Yeah.
Stay alive.
Yeah.
Stay alive because we still need you.
Yeah.
Maybe stay alive, go back and re-strategize how to do it.
Yeah.
Because now, and the people on the other side don't really care.
That's true.
Yeah, they don't care that your mom will lose someone or your children will,
Yeah.
So when it is too hostile,
stay alive.
Yeah. And take cover. And I think the third thing is when you've been doing the same strategy, but it's not working. Maybe it's going to the streets. Been doing that for years. You only go home with injuries, but you're not pushing it. Maybe take a break.
And reevaluate.
Yes. Reevaluate, restart, redo it, improve it, do it different.
Yeah. Collaborate. Do something.
Yes, collaborate.
Yeah.
Change the strategy again. Learn. Take time and learn. Take time and listen to experiences. Take time and improve. Yes. Then go back.
Yeah.
And do it different. So I think those are the moments to just stay back. Another fourth thing is when you go out of passion.
Yeah, when it dies off. When the flicker stops flickering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were so passionate about this when you were young. Then you've got into a place as a human being, you felt
yeah.
Yeah,
It's also because that's usually combined by hopelessness. And hopelessness is a terrible feeling to carry as a human being.
And the reason why I'm telling that particular HRD to step back is because that state of hopelessness, you tend to make it contagious.
That's true.
You tend to kill the passion and the power that others have.
Yeah. It also goes to other things like anger.
Yes.
Guilt.
You start telling them, we've seen many who have come and gone.
Yeah.
So instead of doing that to the rest.
It poisons the collective.
Please step back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Step back and either go find yourself again or go do something else.
Yeah, I hear you.
Another thing is when you get into this and that is not what you wanted to get into.
Give yourself permission.
Yes. Someone has gone into this and it has gone so far. And now they're asking themselves, I didn't sign up for this.
Do I see it through or do I step back?
Now, in those moments, please step back.
Yeah.
Because there are those ones who have actually counted the cost and they've known, I want to go as far as this. But there's someone who didn't want to go that far.
I hear you.
And now they're in the mainstream news there, and they're thinking, I didn't want this.
So much exposure, yeah.
So once you get there and you're starting to feel, please step back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Know thyself.
Please step back.
Yeah.
So just be self-aware.
Yeah.
Know what you're getting yourself into and do this. But at the end of it all, please, we need someone to voice the voiceless. But let me add this, there is a price to pay.
And sometimes you pay by your life.
Sometimes you pay by your own life, or if not your life physically, your mental wellness.
That's true.
Yes. Sometimes you just lose it.
Yeah.
Right now we have a HRD who we are trying to see if we can get into rehab.
Oh, that's sad.
Such a powerful person, but
that's it.
They've gone through so much. They can only drink.
The disintegration that has happened inside themselves, I can imagine for them to.
Because at some point they didn't know how to balance personal and this journey, and it just became one pile of things, and now they cannot find themselves.
Yeah, they're lost in the work.
Yes, they lost it completely.
Yeah.
They went through all those things I've talked about, and they didn't know this is where I take a break. This is where I start.
This is why I wanted us to have that question, because I think
so. When you're having those different moments we have described, take a break. And now the last one is when you don't know where you are.
Speak to someone.
Call. Yeah.
Speak to someone.
Yes. Speak to someone. Talk to someone. Now, when you talk to someone, the challenge normally is, who are you talking to? What are you telling them? And what are you expecting in return? Because another thing I've realized that frustrates a lot of HRDs is expectations. So I speak to you, I talk to you, I'm going through this, and you are expecting me to understand and give you money. I'm expecting you to understand, but maybe you've not even communicated the expectation.
Yeah. So
when you're speaking and when you're talking to this particular person, we have said talk to someone, please make sure you know what you're talking about, what you want them to know, what you want them to understand, and how you're saying it. I don't know if I'm making sense.
No, it makes sense because
Yes.
I mean, it's sometimes when you go to Marvlyn,
Yeah.
she will help you as much as the capacity of the organization or her role. There are things she can refer to.
Yes.
But also, if there are things that you didn't articulate, she's not able to mention them or refer or
because
find a referral
unfortunately,
pathway.
someone will come and it looked like they needed psychosocial, but as we are talking, it wasn't psychosocial; it was social economic.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
They needed rent.
Yeah.
They're not sleeping because they're not paying rent.
Yeah.
They're not sleeping because they are stuck.
It's not vicarious trauma. It's that they're economically deprived.
Exactly. But even with that, now I'm here to say, please just come speak. We will diagnose you.
We'll figure it out.
Exactly. You just come.
Yeah.
Just come. Just know there's someone on the other side who will listen to you. In fact, in Coalition, we have the toll-free number. And the poster that comes with that toll-free number is that talk to someone. That's what we've just said. Talk to someone.
You know what? We will end this conversation here. And I hope HRDs hear and know that there is a space.
Oh, yes.
And there's someone
Very
with
safe.
a human being.
Oh, yes.
Who is here today to speak to. It's been wonderful having this conversation. And I truly hope, I know there will be a second place for it because I would love for us to unpack resiliency.
Oh, yes.
And how socioeconomic vulnerabilities also intersect with mental health, especially for HRDs. But thank you so much for your time. Thank you for the work you're doing.
Thank you.
And thank you for even giving us language in terms of talking about the things that actually, come across our minds, because sometimes we don't even have the language. And for being a personality that, is aware, but also cares deeply enough, because this, I imagine for you, it's also as hard.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Asante sana.
Asante.
Well, this has been Justice Watchers with Marvlyn Mbugua. Thank you. Please leave us comments and check out the toll-free number on the caption. Thank you very much.